Warning. I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised.
A large portion of downtown Indianapolis remains evacuated. Now, reports are sketchy at this point, but we do know that apparently there are terrorists holed up in the downtown part of our city with nuclear devices. How many people, how many devices, we're not sure. But we have just learned here at the Channel 9 newsroom that a federal response team has been sent in to neutralize the threat. Well, I'd like to, again, caution our audience against over-concern.
So I saw this clip because it mentioned Laurel Canyon, and if there's one thing I could recommend to anybody, it would be this book, Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, Laurel Canyon, Covert Ops, and the Dark Heart of the Hippie Dream by David McGowan. So anyway, this isn't an endorsement for anybody, except maybe the book, but I saw this clip and I found it interesting, and like always, I will leave all links to all sources below in the description.
You've seen all the grainy footage of nuclear test blasts that you've
Sure.
with the mushroom clouds, and there are always these grainy things, and there's all these like little houses lined up and these little trees lined up, and it blows everything down. Well, there's always been a conspiracy theory that those were all basically fabricated at this facility, that those bombs actually were never detonated. Basically, the U.S. military was basically faking these bomb tests to freak out the Russians, to make us think that we had weapons. We had basically a potency to our nuclear weapon arsenal that we actually didn't have at the time.
How did they fake it?
They just did. Yeah, exactly.
So this is
exactly.
it?
Well, so there's a yeah. Okay, so here's the question, right? So what happened? Okay, so this is great. Okay, you'll love this. So what happened to the camera?
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
How is that happening yet the camera is like totally stable and fine?
Oh my God.
And by the way, and the film is fine. The radiation didn't cause any damage to the film.
Oh my God.
This looks like how you shoot a
well,
movie
and by the way,
miniature,
okay, we'll do this one. We'll do the loop one more time here. Let's see the car.
The car's right behind the house. It just showed up.
Oh,
okay.
it just showed up.
So wait a minute. First of all,
it wasn't there.
First of all, where'd the car come from?
Yeah. No car.
The second is, does it really look like
car?
Does that look like a real car?
That's insane.
And look at the and look at when the house blows. Look at the wood. Does that look like those are full size giant lumber beams as they go flying?
That's hard to say.
Is that a house or is that like is that a 12-inch scale model?
What?
Right. So like
the fucking car.
Anyway, I don't know. Like I have no idea. Having said that, if that was fake, it was faked at Lookout Mountain.
What would become known as Lookout Mountain Laboratory was originally envisioned as a fortified air defense center. Built in 1941 and nestled in 2.5 secluded acres off what is now Wonderland Park Avenue, the installation was hidden from view and surrounded by an electrified fence. By 1947, the facility featured a fully operational movie studio. In fact, it is claimed that it was the world's only completely self-contained movie studio. With 100,000 square feet of floor space, the covert studio included sound stages, screening rooms, film processing labs, editing facilities, an animation department, and 17 climate-controlled film vaults. It also had a helicopter pad and a bomb shelter. Over its lifetime, the studio produced some 19,000 classified motion pictures, more than all the Hollywood studios combined, which I guess makes Laurel Canyon the real motion picture capital of the world. Officially, the facility was run by the U.S. Air Force and did nothing more nefarious than process AEC footage of atomic and nuclear bomb tests. The studio, however, was clearly equipped to do far more than just process film. There are indications that Lookout Mountain Laboratory had an advanced research and development department that was on the cutting edge of new film technologies. Such technological advances as 3D effects were apparently first developed at the Laurel Canyon site, and Hollywood luminaries like John Ford, Jimmy Stewart, Howard Hawks, Ronald Reagan, Bing Crosby, Walt Disney, Hedda Hopper, and Marilyn Monroe were given clearance to work at the facility on undisclosed projects. There is no indication that any of them ever spoke of their work at the clandestine studio. The facility retained as many as 250 producers, directors, technicians, editors, animators, etc., both civilian and military, all with top security clearances, and all reporting to work in a secluded corner of Laurel Canyon. Accounts vary as to when the facility ceased operations. Some claim it was in 1969, while others say the facility remained in operation longer. In any event, by all accounts, the secret bunker had been up and running for more than 20 years before Laurel Canyon's rebellious teen years, and it remained operational for the most turbulent of those years. The existence of the facility remained unknown to the general public until the early 1990s, though it had long been rumored that the CIA operated a secret movie studio somewhere in or near Hollywood.
It looks like the smoke is too big. Watch when it hits. Like the volume, like the size of it, it looks small.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, it looks like we're looking at something that's like a few inches tall.
Well, so if you watch like making of Star Wars, any movies before CGI, whenever they do anything like that, it's always with these tiny models.
Yes.
And they just basically, what they do is they slow it down and then they add sound.
Yeah, this looks fake as shit.
Right.
The clouds just don't look realistic.
Right.
Like it looks like they're too big and they move too quickly back and forth.
Let's get another one. It's like, okay, the camera's fine.
That's hilarious.
Oh, this is a good one. Yeah, here we go. And even still, the camera got knocked over, not destroyed.
Another thing is you were more likely to have your home destroyed if you were dirty or, quote, untidy.
Here are two miniature frame houses, identical in structure, both in good condition and well painted outside. Sturdily mounted cameras in front of the houses are to record the effect of heat flash. Large windows purposely expose the interiors to the flash. In the house on the right, all the earmarks of untidy housekeeping. Newspapers and magazines lying about, and cluttered tables. Now the house on the left, identical to the other, but spick and span. Trash has been thrown away. Tabletops are tidy. Both ready for the test bomb. The light flash and the heat wave, then the blast tears away part of each roof. The cluttered room of the house on the right bursts into flame. In a few moments, the interior is completely ablaze. The fire that started inside spreads rapidly to the house itself, although the house on the left still shows no exterior flames. Now the house on the right burns as fiercely as if it had been deliberately fired with kindling. The lack of fire-safe housekeeping has doomed this house to destruction. In the other house, with its better, safer housekeeping readily extinguished afterward. Damage? Yes, but the house still stands. One house standing, one house leveled, both painted and cleaned up outside. Identical houses except for inside conditions and housekeeping.
Another thing I noticed were some similarities between COVID protocols and nuclear war protocols. For instance, things like duck and cover. When the big one drops, get to the safest place quickly, under your wooden desk. And with COVID, restaurants are safe, people. See signs below. Walking. Sitting. Because you had to wear a mask walking to your table, but you could take it off as soon as you sat down. But even more, check this out.
Now let us suppose that fallout has descended on this can. We'll let salt represent fallout dust. The particles don't go through the tin. The radiation does, but radiation is harmless to all except living material. It has no effect on the food inside. Now, if you wipe away the fallout particles, or better still, wash them away, the food inside cannot be contaminated and is perfectly safe to eat. The same is true of all foods and liquids that have been protected by packagings or containers.
even the thinnest layer of cellophane. If you don't swallow the dust, there is no ill effect.
We do know the virus can live on surfaces, for example, steel and plastic for up to 3 days. I've used a little glitter here for my kids to show you what the virus might be like. We know they can live on cardboard, for example, up to 24 hours. So what I've done here is I've created a dirty area and a clean area.
If water for washing is in short supply, canned goods that may have been exposed to fallout can be handled safely with a piece of paper towel. Use one sheet of paper to lift the can and turn it upside down. There is no dust on the bottom. Now dispose of the paper. Wipe the sides of the can with a new piece of towel. And don't forget to put the contaminated paper in a covered receptacle. Now open the clean top. There will be no harmful particles in the food itself.
Here's my dirty area. I'm just going to clean all the virus off here. Don't need to do too much. It's a pretty sensitive virus. You don't need to use any kind of specific wipe either. Any household cleaner will do. And then once I'm sure I got this clean, I put this into the clean area.
A sealed loaf of bread that has been exposed to fallout can be salvaged in a similar manner. Turn the loaf upside down to expose the bottom, which will be clear of dust. Then dispose of the towel. Now insert a sharp knife through the wax paper at the center of the loaf and cut upwards, making a slot 4 or 5 inches lengthwise. Insert your fingers through the slot and rip the paper slowly open. The bread can be safely removed to a clean place. Finally, dispose of the wax paper.
And again, for cardboard, it's typically going to be closer to 24 hours. Just get all those surfaces pretty well. Once you're confident about that, I get all the glitter off in this case, then I put this in the clean area. Now, one thing I do want to show you, if you are wearing gloves, and you don't need to wear gloves, the biggest key is how you take them off. You want to make sure you don't contaminate yourself. So you grab the inside of the glove here and pull it over itself, and then I grab with my finger over here from the inside and pull that over as well, and I drop that into the dirty area also.
Fucking stoned.
I got